G'day everyone, this is Andrew Price here for a special edition of the Blender Guru podcast. I should address the elephant in the room, which is this guy.
Yeah, what are you calling me?
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Colin Levy, and here we are in Emeryville, beautiful Emeryville, California. Andrew Price, what are you doing outside of your home country?
Yes, that's right. I am here at Colin Levy's house for the purposes of a short
tourism.
Film.
Oh, yeah. What are you working on?
This guy dragged me all the way here. He's like, I'm working on this thing, you know. I think it's a good idea for this short film, you know. And I was like, yeah, let's get into it, you know. And so I'm dragging me all the way here, you know. And I'm like, oh, you know, he's walking me like a dog. You know?
I'm sorry about that. It's been kind of intense. At this point, it's been a week and a half.
A week and a half,
and
yes. We're working on one thing.
Yeah, not even one project. One asset.
One asset
only
of many to come.
Yes.
So, okay. So, what is your short film? Let's just talk about
dive
that.
in, huh?
Yeah.
So, how do I describe it? It's a sci-fi short. It's at various points been 4 minutes and 26 minutes long. It takes place in a future vision of San Francisco. And how much of the plot do I really want to reveal? I could give the quick pitch.
You could give like the pitch you gave to the Berkeley
Film Foundation.
Right.
Thing.
Just kind of the
okay.
You know.
But then it's like as soon as I say it, it's out there.
Wow.
We don't want to drop a trailer in a year and a half. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, like don't reveal everything. Just
God.
Okay. All right, I'll do it if you want. Okay, so it's set in the science fiction future of San Francisco. 10 years from now, where convenience has taken over, where you can order anything you want at the push of a button, have an avocado.
An avocado, you say?
Yes. You say avocado. Say avocado like you said in the
I just said avocado like a normal human being.
And,
but Andrew thinks that I was so like elite about it somehow. So basically, it takes place in the future where you can order something like on an iPad. You're browsing through an Amazon-like interface, and it will arrive in your home within 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it is. And how
does it get there?
Wow, that's a good question. So the Amazon video with the drones and stuff. Like this is basically taking that concept, but projecting into the future. And they don't drop it on your doorstep. It actually goes through a system which allows it to pipe into an appliance, a physical appliance. Like you've got your dishwasher and your washing machine, and like
oh, you lost me already.
And then you've got this thing that allows a pod comes in and delivers your shipment or order, whatever.
So essentially, it delivers your avocado in this little package thing.
Yeah, but that's
goes
just
down
the
the
look.
chute, arrives in this little thing.
Right.
You open it up. There's your avocado. Ta-da!
And that's what we've been working on.
So that's the concept of this world.
Right.
And then basically, there's these two boys who want to like play a prank on somebody in another apartment, and so they want to hack into the system and switch the packages. But unbeknownst to them, they get wrapped up into this like conspiracy where there's some like something big about to happen, and they end up switching a package, which is very important.
Right. They switch the wrong package.
Exactly. And they
in
get
over their head.
wrapped into this whole
Entangled.
mess. Entangled into this mess. So it's you've been working on the script how long now?
Yeah, kind of far, far too long.
Yeah.
Like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And it's like it's really not that long.
Yeah.
So there've been at any points, there's been like probably a dozen completely different iterations of the same exact concept. I am not a writer, man. This is it's been like
you
probably
can't say that. You are a writer. You've been writing for a year and a half.
I've been trying. I am writing. This is all I can say.
Yeah.
I am definitely writing a lot, but I'm not a writer because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But I think it's gotten better, and we finally gotten to a place where it's like, this is the movie we're making.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that fact. Yeah. I mean, this is happening soon. We're shooting in September, and we have gathered a crew, and
it's a large crew.
Yeah, a lot of
people
involved.
It might look like we're the only two involved, but that is far, far from the truth. I play a tiny role in the grand scheme of things. We had a production meeting the other day. Yesterday? Jeez, day before.
2 days ago.
Okay.
In LA.
In LA, we drove there. My gosh. That's never ever. But you have to do it soon, don't you? You have to go back there to shoot. Anyways, and there was 10 people? And that was only like a fraction of the people actually involved.
Those were kind of the department heads.
They were the department heads.
So
and I was the department head, wasn't I?
You sure were.
That's right. I'm the 3D lead. I feel so important.
You really are. You get to have a whole team under you.
I do get to have a whole team under me. And get to tell them what to do.
Yeah. Maybe. Boss people around.
Yeah.
Do you like to do that?
I like to do that.
Good.
I feel...
it's fun.
Makes me feel big, you know? No, so anyways, that was a really rough introduction to your show.
Yeah, I feel like we could both do that better.
Yeah, but anyways, that's what it is. It's out there. So it'll be out late 2015, don't you think?
Are we committing to a release date already?
You said it would take about like a year.
Right? I said at a minimum.
At a minimum a year. But look, it's July.
Okay.
August. Almost August.
Sure.
Okay, so if it's a year from now, that would be August 1st from now. But that's an extra 3 months at the end of that. So late 2015.
August, September, October, November, December.
Yeah, you can do it. Well, actually, I suppose we because that's the post-production.
That's mainly you.
Me and Sandro
if you feel like you can handle that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm kind of jealous because when I was at the meeting, I was looking around and it's everybody there is just on set. So it's the camera, the DP, all those people are just
production designer.
And I felt once it's shot,
most of those people
let me know when it's done, boys. But then it goes to me and Sandro, who's doing the visual effects supervision, compositing and all that kind of stuff.
And editing is a big part of post.
Editing is a huge
sound design,
music. That's right.
Color grading.
And all that stuff then is what makes the thing.
But it's also that's what's super time consuming. I mean, this thing will be shot in 2 months. It'll be in the can 2 months from today.
Once it's shot though, you will be a lot more relaxed.
I don't know.
You will. You have to be.
Yeah.
Because it has been everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
These guys don't know what we're talking about right now. But but basically the last 2 weeks we've been here, it's been we have to get certain things done before the shoot date. Because the shoot date cannot be moved.
Right.
Because you have to go back to your job.
Right.
At
Pixar.
Which we get to later. But so you're on a 3 months absent leave and you have to shoot within that time.
Yeah.
And so it's all this stress leading up to the shoot date. But once it's done, it's you're right. It could be 2 years later that you release it.
Right.
But hopefully not.
Well, yeah. I like to be optimistic.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the stress and anxiety of what's going to happen is replaced by stress and anxiety for what just happened.
Sure.
I just know right now what I love is that I'm dreaming. I have a vision of the film that's perfect, a perfect movie in my head, and it's not gonna be that good. It's not gonna be perfect, and every time I'm
But can you think?
Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that?
Can you actually think of a perfect film though?
Yes, Iron Giant.
Perfect.
Every frame.
Shot, every second, couldn't have been shaved off. It was the perfect length.
There's so many perfect
movies. The color
movies.
choices were perfect.
Shawshank Redemption.
Now this is the thing I've always wrapped my head around. When you're in Blender, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I can remember. I'm reaching back.
Yeah, it's been a long time. But say for example, you're setting a material and how much shine do I give it? 0.1, 0.0, whatever. To get the material right.
Right.
And in all seriousness, whatever you choose, will not be the absolute correct, perfect, accurate response for everything, no matter what. Like the color choices, the texture choices, the level of bump that you give, every single setting that you give. If you spent like months testing each little setting, you could find the perfect value.
And this is what I expect you to do on my film.
So I'll pass that down to the people that are working on the
this
team.
is why it's going to take till 2017.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, keep going.
Anyways.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, and I've always like wondered this, like there's so, like basically as artists in any field, you are always like accepting the fact that it's not perfect and it kind of can never be. Like, you can't really make something that's perfect. Really.
That's very sad.
Just a perfectionist over here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem.
You have to let that go.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it won't be. It could always be better. That's actually
This is a good advert for the short, by the way.
That's one reason why I think in terms of like the medium, like animation seems to me far more forgiving than live action. Live action, you shoot it and then you're dealing with what you've shot. And if something is out of focus or performance, or you have an idea, 2 months later, like your ability to execute that idea pretty limited, after production.
Right.
Whereas in animation, you're always identifying the weak parts and then plussing those things. Or you can kind of see what you have and then come to a realization and then, change something about a design or a scene or whatever, even shot design. I mean, one amazing thing about what I do in layout, which I really love, is like, we're shooting like scenes sort of as you might in live action. We're shooting coverage. So we shoot, a set of like a piece of blocking from multiple angles and deliver those pieces of footage essentially to the editorial department. And that this is at Pixar. And that edit comes back and then we can respond to it. This never happens in live action. You shoot it and then you edit it and that's what you have.
That's what you have, yeah.
But
go with it.
At Pixar, you shoot it, they edit it, and then we iterate on it. So let's just say that for whatever reason, we're going from a wide static shot to a medium that pushes, You're going to have a little bit...
Let me only take that in. Wide static shot to me.
Sorry. Okay, so wide static shot, the camera is not moving.
Okay.
And then you have a medium shot, which is kind of like this.
Right.
Whatever it is. And then it's already in motion.
Okay.
Because you're going from a static shot to a shot in motion where the camera is moving.
I always wonder this.
What do you mean?
Like, how do you juxtaposition from a moving shot into a static one?
Well,
is that like breaking a rule?
So that's actually my point. Is like it's gonna bump a little bit. You're gonna feel it. And so what you can do, because it's an animation, is you kind of start a move in the static shot that like you go back to it once you have an edit, and then suddenly you can ease a camera move into the next shot, and it becomes totally invisible.
So this is a tip for the Blender folks at home.
It sure is.
So if you're making an animation and you've got a moving shot, and let's say it's a shot that's like moving through a house or whatever like that, and then you're going to cut to a shot of a static object on a table, or was it the other way around?
Sure, either way.
So maybe, so I see. So if you started with a moving one, then you would move it until it stops and then cut to the static one.
Or you would, I mean, it's all a matter of taste. Like you can go from moving to static if it's effective and it works. But yeah, I mean, you have plenty of options. You could start ramping down and then ramp down, like carry the move over into the static shot and then slow it to a stop in the second one.
Right.
Or why are we stopping? I guess that's the level of finesse and polish that you can achieve in animation that is like
impossible.
Yeah, it's like it's good for the perfectionist in us. You can really just iterate on the whole process until it's kind of what you want. Obviously, it takes resources to do that, which is why Sintel is not a perfect movie.
Right.
And
what are the flaws, by the way? Like, from a directorial, like
of Sintel,
because now it's been several years, and then you've worked with layout, you've worked with teams. Now you're working on this new project. You know, like, of course you have the hindsight of, you know, what could have been.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? What were its?
How long do we have? Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of it for sure.
Yeah.
Like anything I've done, there's things that I wince at. Even from a camera standpoint, I feel like my eye is a lot more refined. There's moments I'm super proud of in terms of camera, and things that just don't work, and it's kind of weird.
What's your proudest moment as Sintel in the movie?
Proudest moment overall or camera wise?
Sort of overall.
I think I'm pretty darn proud of the reveal moment. Like at the end when she's dropping the spear and we go into slow motion, or she stepped forward and sees the reflection of the blood, like that with Jan's music. I just feel like I myself still sometimes can get chills, and I'm like, wow, like that's crazy.
It works, right?
Yeah, I think it works. I mean, I don't think it's all set up, you know, as well as it could be. But I think that just emotionally, it's a powerful moment, and really that's sort of such a big moment in the film that, like, if I'm feeling good about that, you know, it's one of the tentpole moments of the film, and so a lot of the other stuff that might be problematic, you know, is probably less important, you know.
Right.
But
it was a good story.
Thank you.
Thinking about it now, you know, it's like it has a very clear goal from the beginning.
It's very like, dramatic.
Yeah, they have this, you know, she's alone, whatever, in the city, finds this little dragon, you know, and they have this bond, like meeting kind of thing, and then they become friends. They're walking around the city, you know, and then dun dun dun,
snatched out of
the sky by one of his own species, you know.
Yeah, but don't think about it too much, because probably you know, if it's its own species, like what is the motivation of that guy?
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to take this guy and raise him as my own. I'm going to clip his wings so he can't fly away.
Right.
Yeah, how did he keep him in that cave for so long?
I know.
Spoilers alert. Gosh. Jeez.
It has been out for like 4 years.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, that's your own fault, guys. Seriously. But yeah, jeez. It was good. And then there was that, because it was like the goal, like, she's going to go save it. And there was a big thing, and it's like, right, what's going to happen when she gets to the thing? And then she gets there, and she finds the little dragon. But then you pulled the rug out from under us.
That's right.
And was like, nope, you got it all wrong.
I feel like if you can get to the point where that sort of montage, you know, gets underway, if you're with the movie at that point, I think it can carry you through. I think it's fairly... Yeah, that's the point at which it starts to flow for me. Right. Up until then, I think it's definitely haltering. Like, just kind of, probably could have been structured better. That entire first, I don't know how many minutes that is, but it's the first act essentially. And then as soon as she starts running outside the gates of the city, that's like our break into Act 2.
But that's a good thing though. Like that you do have things that you'd want to do better, because like if I was like, you know, interviewing you now and I was like, what would you change about Sintel, like knowing what you know now, and you're like, that's perfect. I can't really think of anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, okay, so you have definitely stayed stagnant for the last 5 years, you know, because as you grow, like even as a human, like you look back on like what you did 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, why did I do that? That was retarded. You know? But like now, like it's same with art. Like looking back, like I try not to tell people about the short that I made called The Ballad of the M4 Carbine.
Everyone, look it up.
Don't look it up because it's
you haven't seen it.
Because looking back on it, I'm like,
it's solid.
Well, it's like it's so panhandled. Like the ending, there's like it's like there's guns shooting at human targets, and it's like. Oh, here's a message. Violence is bad. Killing in the Middle East. pan up to see the flags, the blame, of the thing. And,
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I gotta watch this again.
You blocked it out because it was such a...
No, it's been a while.
It's been a while for me too, for very good reasons.
But you put a story in there.
Tried to, jeez.
So, that's good. I mean, I feel like that's what's important. I mean, if you're trying to go for something, yeah. So you're setting it's a shoehorn story. It's a bad story. Is that?
Well, it's. Like you said, there's just so many things that you could do better. Like looking back on it, there's no way I would start that. Like if that was on paper, I'd be like, "Geez, man,
yeah,
geez."
So what's next? You gonna make another short?
Yeah, one day. No, I really do want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. After this.
in 3.5 years.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. What have I got myself into? No. Yeah. That's as I was telling you the other day. Something I want to do is open up a animation studio in Australia, and somehow find artists in Australia, or somehow, as you said, you can convince them to move to Australia. But yeah, that's something I'd like to do for sure. And it's dangerous because so many animation studios are shutting down.
Well, you got a different business model.
I do. We'd not be selling the shorts, we'd be selling the assets or textures or training or whatever it is that goes into that. And the shorts would be our kind of like marketing almost.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
On paper.
Yeah.
Put it into practice and
it'll sound even cooler.
Yeah. I like this Dr. Pepper. I like
it's a diet
Dr. Pepper. Because I don't know, I like Dr. Pepper. Actually no, I hated Dr. Pepper when I was a kid. And I don't know what it was. It tastes like cough medicine.
Yeah.
And then when I grew up, it's like barely available in Australia anymore. I think the Dr. Pepper marketing team failed hard in Australia. It's very hard to find anywhere. But it's like a rage over here in America. And so I tried it again now, and I'm like, this is good.
Huh.
This is actually really
I wonder if the
really
formula
nice.
has changed or if it's just your taste buds.
Yeah, that's a good point. It might
and I
be
wonder
a
if it's
little
because
cold,
you've been deprived of the Dr. Pepper experience, for such a long time, that actually that's kind of what you need to be into it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I'm going to give it a try.
Yeah,
That's
go
all
on.
right.
Go on. Try it out. I tell you what, people that are listening to the audio version of this are like, what the heck is going on?
Delicious.
Delicious. It is. It really is. But
I cannot even tell it's diet.
Yeah, exactly. That's how good artificial sweetness is.
What is the difference between... Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
artificial rather than...
Artificial sweetener.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Got it.
Which some people think will give you cancer.
But
they're wrong.
This Blender podcast has been a little bit... Oh, this is the Blender Guru. Sorry, because there is another one called the Blender Podcast.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes, by Campbell and Thomas Dingus.
That's right.
Dingus.
Do you see yourself as a competitor?
A competitor in a podcast?
Competing.
No way. No way. I don't mean that like in any... No, I mean like it's completely different and like way more unprofessional. I think they actually... I think Campbell and Thomas go into the podcast with some discussion ideas.
Right.
Whereas we just turn this camera on and we're like, should we start? Let's start talking
and
about
then we
stuff.
end up talking about Dr. Pepper for like 10 minutes.
But that's
wasting
that's how it goes.
God knows how many people's time.
But
on that topic, what's next in the discussion agenda?
for this very podcast. Right. Yeah, wow, that really killed it, didn't it? Let's talk about your job, because the Blender folks at home, heard that you were working at
Pixar Animation Studios.
Pixar.
That's right.
So Pixar is, of course, the this chair. Pixar is, of course, is a place that like if you like went on like any CG art forum and like pretended to be Pixar and was like, got a job opening at Pixar. Who wants it? You know, first person to reply gets it. Like, everybody in the entire CG industry wants a job at Pixar. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, it's become, like, the dream.
Yeah.
You know, like,
definitely.
I've even seen on, like Blender user's Facebook page, like, life goals, work at Pixar. In fact, that was my life goal, like, for, like, several years ago.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The goal to work at Pixar. And very few people get there. And
Did you have...
Did.
I got very lucky.
How did it happen?
The story traces back. Goes back, man. But, yeah.
First of all, how'd you get interested in Blender? Because that's tied into it. So how did this happen?
It's true. Like, if Blender didn't exist, I wouldn't be at Pixar.
Ooh.
If Sintel didn't happen, you know, I wouldn't be at Pixar. So, I guess I discovered Blender basically around the same time I discovered filmmaking.
Right.
And I kind of was pursuing both live action movie making and 3D at the same time. Because my goals were kind of one and the same.
Right.
But it was all thanks to this forum online called Star Wars Fan Film Forum, which was like a place for nerdy kids to like make lightsaber battles and stuff like that. And man, it was so cool. I don't know how I found this forum, man, but it really did change my life because it was like it was a community, you know, people making movies, and they didn't necessarily have to be
Star Wars. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it could be anything. People were super like supportive of each other, and you could kind of post whatever you want. It was definitely something that had a little bit of an effects kind of spin, you know, overall. So, you know, everyone was learning After Effects and asking questions about how to... there was a lot of rotoscoping lightsabers, you know, for sure. That was one of my first effects, you know. But yeah, I came across someone who had, I don't know, put a 3D model of a spaceship or some Star Wars model. I don't really know. Even the CG lightsaber or... like Millennium Falcon or whatever, zooming across a starfield. Like, what? You can do that?
Right.
Like, yourself, you don't need to be Hollywood?
Right.
I followed a link to BlenderWars.com. Is that what it's called?
I thought it was Blender Battles. That's where you battle people. No?
Or is there Star Wars Blender site?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a crossover, between Blender World and the Star Wars world. And you know what's interesting? So many filmmakers who I look up to, they're like, yeah, when I saw Star Wars in theaters, that's the moment I decided to become a filmmaker.
Wow.
Right?
George Lucas. He just changed the course of history.
But for me, it's funny that like what I say is the Star Wars Fan Film Forum.
There's no way to say it without sounding like a complete geek.
Yeah.
You can't get around that issue.
Yeah.
Like it's no, but
it wasn't the movie.
Right.
It was this community of people, you know, who were so inspired by the movies. So yeah.
So you got into Blender through that.
Yeah, there was
with a love of filmmaking.
There was a tutorial on how to make a box. Vertex by Vertex.
Why would there be a tutorial on that?
It was like
tutorial ever.
It was not like add cube. It was create one vertex, create another vertex, select them both, hit F, and yada yada. And like I gave up. I deleted Blender from my computer because that was like far too because
well,
it had
of course,
to do with...
who would continue that tutorial?
Oh my god, it was terrible.
How to make a box?
Yeah, well, it existed.
Oh my gosh. That's what I would do as like another April Fool's prank. I'd do a tutorial on how to make a box.
Nice. I really liked your April Fool's joke this year. It's super good.
Some people would think it was a joke.
Very deadpan. Yeah. I made it startlingly far into that. Like
without realizing?
Well, no. I just kept on watching. Like I got the joke and then but it was not a short tutorial, right?
Wait, it was like 5 minutes or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I watched the whole thing.
I think it was at last year's Blender conference. Like I was talking to some guys, and they were saying like how like some tutorials they start with like something really complex. They go through like setting up the scene or whatever, And then they just get like really lazy and they're like, anyways, here's the finished thing. And so they're like, and then we kind of talked about it and they're like, you should do something like that for like April Fool's. And I was like,
right.
Sounds like a good idea. And so, then I thought like, everybody wants me to do characters.
Yeah.
Pixar style characters. So I just released this tutorial, on making Pixar characters.
It looked beautiful. Pretty much indistinguishable from, the rigs that I work with every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
You said that your dream was to work at Pixar, and I think you could make it happen.
I could make it happen?
Based entirely on that tutorial. Like, if you submitted that on the demo reel, you'd get in the characters team department.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll write you a recommendation.
Give me a recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh! All right, so going back to your story. So you got interested in Blender, and you made some short films, which I did not remember that you actually made them until you showed me just the other day.
Right.
And they were, what was that one with the little bug on the stairs? Electronic.
Oh, yeah. It was more of an effects test than a short film. It was only
my mind because I saw that like what was it 9 years ago, whatever. And I used Icarus for motion tracking or something.
Yep.
And it was this thing like it was filmed at your house with your mom, your two brothers fighting at a table or something.
Right, playing board
game. And then you
game.
kind of like panned away and you kind of walked up some stairs. And then there was like this little electronic mechanical bug. And it kind of like jumped down the stairs and you followed it.
Yeah.
And then like it ran across the room and jumped onto your brother's shirt. He's like,
get it off me.
Yeah, like that. And
it's called Unidentified Hopping Object.
That's right.
And it was like a found footage thing.
It's a great title.
Yeah. It was just supposed to be like a clip from a home video, so very handheld and kind of slice of life, 20 seconds. But yeah, that was a fun summer project. I spent like 3 weeks on that one thing, and it's like that's the kind of thing that I got super excited to do in high school and stuff.
And then you did another one. On the Brink.
Oh. I think that was first. I don't know.
Research this, guys.
Oh my god. I gotta take this off my site.
Well, it'll actually crash the website when you visit Colin's site when you try to play it. We tried to play it the other day, and it just crashed everything. Eventually, we managed to download it anyways. But this film that Colin put out called On the Brink. And it's... basically what it is it shows this pasty white... like cookie cutter nerd, and he's standing in this like sci-fi kind of like mechanical world.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of like looking up like this, and the camera kind of like pans around and it reveals this whole kind of thing. And it's
truly epic.
Right. Because like when we like talking and like meeting and kind of like stuff like that, I remember that there was this kid who did some like little short films and stuff, and one of them like super nerdy on the thing, but I didn't know that it was you. And then I saw it on your website and I went, no way, that was you. That was little Colin. And then you explained how you did it. I look
pretty much the same now. I mean, I'm trying for this beer.
That's not true, because if you did, that would be very unfortunate. But explain how you did it, because that's even more funny.
Well, yeah. So, and this footage exists somewhere. I need to go find it. But essentially, it was more of a camera proof of concept thing. Like in the Matrix, they pioneered this technique. Where they've got 200 still SLRs that are triggered in sequence to do like the bullet time shot, which is epic. Right. It's like freezing time. The camera is moving around. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then I don't really like. Techniques like that is super cool and super fun. And like I thought of what if, I want to do a shot where the camera arcs like 360 degrees around a character. How do you do that if you only own like a tripod, a crappy DV camera, and in my case, a swivel chair? Well, like that's what I ended up using. I just put up a 6x8 foot green screen. I took the back off the swivel chair, so it's literally only the seat part.
Okay.
And then I had my mom crouching beside it.
Part. Mom, do you reckon you could like just crouch down and just slowly turn this office chair?
She was totally game. And yeah, like I'm just standing upright on this chair, and she turns me around, you can hear the crickets, like, or the cicadas in the raw footage. Yeah, this was outside in my backyard.
Wow.
And yeah, turning it into this massive thing where it's just one crazy shot where instead of me rotating, I basically counter animated the camera move, and
you had your brother with a torch to get the lighting.
Oh yeah, that would have been good. That would be next level.
Oh wait, you didn't do that? Oh right.
Which is why I just waited for a cloudy day, so it was basically non-directional light.
Right. But that's cool. Like that's imaginative. Like that you were able to think. Like even like now, I'm kind of thinking like, how on earth? So I guess you timed the camera movements to get it so that you're on this wheelchair, and then so it looks as though a camera is moving, but it's not. And like you were able to think that up at such a young age. Like, that's impressive.
I'm sure I heard of. I don't know where that idea came from.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, I remember just like the hardest part. Literally, the hardest part. I mean, yeah, you're constraining a camera, a plane to the camera, so it's always facing the direction of the camera. But literally the hardest part was getting like a PNG texture with alpha to render, like a movie file on that plane to render. Like, I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I feel like most of those little tests, effects tests and stuff, took like about 3 weeks, and like that was my duration of time. And I really miss that. Like we're talking about years in the case of this short film that we're working on now. Yeah. It's cool to have an idea, to go and just do it, have fun, execute it, like release it, and get feedback. It's just really gratifying. And the last thing that I did like that was my logo for Lightning Hill Pictures. That was also like a 3-week thing. That's
still like one of my favorite like movie introduction things, because it's like, I don't know, like we saw Bad Robots introduction.
Yeah,
if you haven't
we were
seen
talking
it,
about that.
Google Bad Robot intro and have a look at like how bad the intro is.
It's J.J. Abrams. He could do anything.
Right.
You can do anything.
Yeah.
But like the clouds are like procedural.
It's honestly like 90s Blender. Like the particles, like these jagged things. There's a procedural cloud swirling in the background, and then it goes Bad Robot, and it's like, wow, you haven't changed that in like 20 years, right?
But I don't think it's even been around that long. Right. That's what's puzzling.
Yeah, that's right.
Just embracing it. Yeah.
Maybe he got it off like Craigslist, like put an ad out. Like, who can do an intro?
Maybe it's about lowering expectations at the beginning of a movie so that you're just blown away by the opening of whatever it is. That.
So you shot yourself in the foot.
I really did.
By making this awesome Lightning Hill. You can look it up, right? It's on your video.
Yeah. Yep.
Lightning Hill Pictures intro. And it's this like photorealistic thing that pulls out of the house, and then it goes, and there's the thing, and it looks like totally top notch.
I think that you're totally right. I mean, it opens my film The Secret Number, and like it's like, wow, look how cool I am, Right. And then the opening shot is like not nearly as convincing or good. Like by the time it gets to the actual title fading on, it's like, I don't know about this.
Okay. So going back to what we were talking about, because we really derailed.
Sorry.
Normally, no.
How long?
As I normally do when I do Blender Guru podcast, the audience is used to it. So we're talking about how you got started at Pixar. So you made these little short films. You were active on the Blender community forums.
Right.
You made these little stuff.
Yep.
And did you even make a tutorial?
I made some tutorials
of
they don't compare to yours.
Camera projection.
Yeah, with my brother Alex.
That was you as well. Yeah. That was great. I watched that and I used that like for
with sticky textures. Rather than UV textures.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant.
That's so funny. My brother discovered that. And then really? I was like, oh, we should make a tutorial.
I just remember the one joke that you had in the tutorial.
What was it?
Can't remember the joke, but I remember the like somebody, like one of you said this little joke or something, and then there was kind of like this pause. And then it was kind of like, oh, good one. And I was just like, that is great. Like two brothers just like...
Yeah. That's funny.
One of them drops a joke in. Not sure if you're allowed to laugh in a tutorial.
It was super awkward. I felt bad. I think I like edged Alex out of like talking about anything. It was just like, give me the keyboard.
I'd love to see that though. Like two young kids who just like they have not solved their sibling, quarrels, and they just decide to do a tutorial together, and they just hate it. That's not how you do it. Oh, for goodness! And they just have a fight. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, so you did these little short things. Then, what was your first short film? Like Suburban Polite. That was your really early. What was the next?
Well,
live action.
I mean, I've made dozens of shorts, and most of them no one will ever see. So Suburban Polite was not my first short, but it was definitely one of the ones I'm still proud of. Actually, it's like to get to that point, you have to kind of fall on your face a bunch of times.
Yeah. And that had a cool story as well. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's still solid. Yeah, it still holds up.
Like for what it is, it's like
cool
like
concept.
It could very well be like what most CG short films. I'm watching a fly.
Yeah, it's
very fascinating.
It moves in like straight lines.
Pattern.
That's true. I don't think anyone's gonna be able to see this fly.
No, I think
it's
they
just
can.
kind of hovering.
What is he doing? He's a limelight stealer. He wants to be on film.
Yeah. He's like, look at me.
But if I crush him, you will be very disappointed.
Do you want to pause the podcast and take care of this dude?
No, we were just talking about like the other day. We were walking along the pathway, and there was a spider hanging up from this thing. And so I like took the web of the spider, and I like dropped it on the ground, just with no thought whatsoever. And you went, "What?"
I was like, was that really necessary?
Was that really necessary to kill the spider? And I was like, well, it's a spider, like. I guess that's
minding
kind
his
of
own business.
Yeah.
You could have just walked past it.
Yeah. I know.
Very cruel.
Yeah. But I didn't even think about it. I felt kind of bad. Like, I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, I
guess
like
I
I
am
overreacted.
ruthless with insects.
I was like, I don't know why I just like shouted at Andrew over this spider. I don't really care, but...
What about ants, though? He's like...
Ants are too small. You can't help it. But, like... I guess
it's true. It was a deliberate...
Yeah.
It was murder, not manslaughter.
Right. That's right.
Okay, so... I'm going to punch this fly.
Try it. Oh, this is going to be good.
Wait, no, I got it.
Oh, you totally punched him.
Where's he going now?
Oh, he's mad. Hey, he went into the other room. Wow, you really... Nice work, Andrew.
I was trying to see. Did you get the focus on us first?
I did.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm hoping.
Right. This is a great interval to the podcast. Anyways, so okay, en route. That was your next thing.
Yep.
This is a stunted.
We can just skip to the end. I made a few shorts. Each one was kind of bigger and better.
You worked at a university.
I went to film school.
Right. For how long?
I went to school for 3 years. Then there he is again.
All right.
Went to school for 3 years. I made en route. I was shooting en route. I was actually before we even shot en route. I was planning to make that film, and I got the email from Ton about Sintel. I was like, "Holy crap, amazing!" A couple years prior to that, I applied to be on Big Buck Bunny as an artist. That didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, those first 3 years were not. I guess I had. I also did this Coca-Cola commercial. Which is called The Disappearing Act.
Right, that was cool.
It was only 50 seconds, but that was my first big project at film school. Then en route, I was planning to shoot it, and we basically ended up shooting just a month prior to me moving to Amsterdam. So I was actually working on editing en route as I was working on Sintel, like basically weekends, and Sintel happened, and then afterwards I kind of had a decision to make about going back to school or like diving into what I really want to do, which is directing, making movies, or potentially working at a place like Pixar. I didn't think that was in the cards, but like a studio, that was a big discussion with my parents, and they really wanted me to get the degree.
What? Oh, really?
So I went back to film school.
Your parents always want that.
I
It's like a safe route.
But yeah, I mean, it is true. It's safe. It's safety. It's really totally unnecessary.
I don't know if it's safe nowadays, though.
It's sort of yeah.
Like, they're, like, yeah, people with, like, liberal arts degrees.
I mean, it's true. It really means nothing.
Waiting tables
anymore.
With an $80,000 debt.
Yeah, it's really brutal. Sad.
Yeah.
But to me, I looked at it as an opportunity to make another movie.
Yeah.
So.
Oh. Sorry, that loud clap that everyone just heard on the audio.
I'm sorry that my house is infested with flies, Andrew.
It's probably all that food we haven't eaten. It's just sitting over there.
So, what was I saying?
I can't remember anymore.
The stupid fly.
The arts. Working at the university.
So I made another short film after Sintel, and after En route called The Secret Number, and it was by the time I was wrapping up on that film. I had submitted my portfolio of basically layout and camera work to Pixar and heard back. So by the time I graduated, I already had this lined up and basically drove out west. I was on the East Coast, and now I'm in the great state of California. And yeah, I was just super lucky that the things kind of fell into place. Yeah.
How did the interview go and everything? Because so it was SIGGRAPH.
Mm-hmm.
You met some people at SIGGRAPH.
Back in 2006, I met Ton at SIGGRAPH.
Oh, okay, that was not. Okay.
I almost was calling it SIGGRAPH the way that you say it.
SIGGRAPH.
At SIGGRAPH, yeah.
SIGGRAPH.
That's how I say it.
Okay.
SIGGRAPH.
Okay.
And that, I think, was probably instrumental to eventually getting the chance to work on Sintel. In terms of Pixar...
Pixar interview. Give us some Pixar interview tips. What do they ask you?
Oh, my God.
Do they grill you?
Okay, so first of all, I applied to Pixar like 3 times. Mm-hmm. Like,
really?
Over several years, yeah. First time was probably sophomore year, I think.
Right.
I was trying to go for the internships. Never worked out. And yeah, it was composed primarily of my Blender work, you know. I applied to layout specifically several times. And I got on the phone with, man, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. I think I was a sophomore, yeah, because I was at O House in Savannah. And I remember being basically on this conference call. And I think on the other end, I know Patrick Lynn, at least, was on that call. And Patrick is the DP, director of photography for the camera, on Up, on The Incredibles, you know, like, I was super, like, you know, like, I looked these guys up. I think also...
Wait, did you just call them up?
No. So I applied.
Mm-hmm.
I sent in my materials, and I was basically given an interview. So someone from HR got in touch with me and said, "Oh, they really liked your work. We'd love to chat with you on the phone. Can we set up a phone call?" It's like,
you must have been bouncing off the wall.
Terrified. It was more like terrified.
Really?
Yeah. I think Rob Anderson was also on the call.
Oh wow.
He's also. I mean, these are. And probably Jeremy Lasky as well. I think there were at least 3 people, maybe 2, but I think it was 3. And my connection was spotty. My phone was like, I didn't have headphones, so it was just one ear. And like, I was terrified, absolutely terrified, and you know, sweating leading up to the call because it happened at a certain time. And I totally just fell on my face, like just terrible. And they were asking things like, you know, I don't know, like, what are your favorite movies? I can't answer that. Like why? That's such an easy question.
Favorite movie.
Such an easy question. And I'm like,
Twilight.
You know? Inspiration, like, we talked a little bit about cinematography, about the projects I did, but it was actually, like, I just kind of botched the phone interview. And before I was just so excited, and then I was like, "Yeah, no way I'm getting this." But I kept trying. And what's funny is they remembered.
So that one didn't go anywhere.
Oh no, yeah, okay. No way. I mean, there's really. I thought
you had no hopes about it.
I pretty much thought I closed the door on Pixar forever.
Oh wow,
it was that bad.
Oh wow.
But you know, people forgive and forget.
Mm-hmm. Right, of course.
I mean, it's probably not as bad as I remember it. Yeah. But yeah, what was funny is like it was like 2 years later when I had a Skype interview, and it was a lot of the same people, you know, and you know it was just a completely different interviewing experience. But yeah, what I was struck by is like they totally remembered my portfolio from 2 years ago, you know?
Wow.
They remembered some of the same projects on my reel.
Right.
But they also saw, and I think this is probably one thing that was good, you know, it's like the level of growth between sophomore year and my senior year at school, and like the projects I had done. There were 3 of them, big ones, you know, En route, Sintel, and The Secret Number.
That they hadn't seen before.
Yeah, all that was fresh.
Wow.
Even though I still had some stuff, you know, because before my portfolio was probably pretty much Suburban Plight and The Disappearing Act. That was it, you know.
Right. So this new one had like live action, had Sintel.
Yeah.
It's your director, which definitely helps, I reckon.
Probably.
Right, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good gig. And then,
I mean, it just sounds impressive.
It does.
Move to Amsterdam to direct this, like.
You sound like a big deal, Colin.
Well, what's amazing is like it's so rare. What the Blender Foundation does, what Ton does with these open movie projects is just so rare. Like he's giving such amazing opportunities to everyone who works on these things, and it's kind of like looking back on it, it's definitely whatever happens going forward, it's always going to be the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm so in debt, you know?
Were you like really quite surprised that you'd landed on this?
It made no sense whatsoever. It made no sense. I mean,
How did it feel though? And this is something I wondered, like, because you were the youngest person there, right?
Oh, on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that true?
It was true.
And
I turned 22 on the project.
Right.
Yeah.
22. And yet you're the director and you had to tell people what to do. How did that feel?
That was a challenge. That was definitely a challenge. I mean, yeah. I was not really secure in that at all. I mean, I don't
think anybody can be. Like,
yeah.
How could you? I don't know if I could do that. Like, hire somebody that's above me, like it's worked in, you know, professionally for a long time.
Yeah.
Join this thing, have all these people.
Yeah.
And then be like, I'm the new kid on the block, listen to me.
Right.
Hey,
well, it's kind of the role that I was put in, right? So, like, if you're following that structure and that hierarchy that kind of goes with making a film project, then that should automatically happen. But it is something that you kind of have to embrace and or acknowledge or whatever. And, like, definitely, I mean, there were times I had to go head to head with Ton, you know? And this is a guy with decades of experience on me. He's made several, you know, like big shorts, you know, and I hadn't for sure. And then, you know, all of these artists, they have life experience, you know, families, you know, like, and I felt like
that's a tough gig.
I better not screw this up.
Right.
You know, it was tough. And then like directing actors, I feel like this is a problem that I have faced several times, and as I get older it gets easier because it's no longer a thing, you know. I'm 26 now, and I feel like, even though I hate to admit it, I'm solidly an adult. I'm probably an adult now. And
probably at 26.
Yeah,
doesn't feel like it.
No, not at all.
It's funny how, like, when you're in high school and you're like I remember when I was in like grade 8 in high school, and there's the grade 12ers, which is final year, and they looked so old to me. Like, they were like
they're
just like
huge.
Age, just giants.
Yeah.
You know? And I was thinking like, whoa, you know,
facial hair, deep voice.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, they're driving cars, whatever, and they're just like they're mature. And then when you reached that age, grade 12, and it was just amazing to me that I was convinced that my grade just looked way younger than what they used to.
Right.
I just thought, like, there's no way, because we don't look like that. I thought we don't look as big giants with, you know, facial hair and all that kind of stuff.
It's all very relative.
Exactly.
Which is why, so this pet peeve of mine, when it comes to films, like so often you see like 18 or 19-year-olds playing 14 or 15. You see straight up adults, like 24-year-olds cast as teenagers, like 17, 18-year-olds. It's like once you're past that age, you can you don't notice as much.
Yeah.
But I remember what it was like to be in high school and have like High School Musical come out with these ridiculous, like these like toned, adults,
right?
Doing backflips.
Yeah.
Not like awkward at all.
Right.
Just like playing kids. It really made no sense to me. And so anyway, I mean, this is actually something that we've been discussing when it comes to my own to the short I'm making now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it about to happen?
Right. We have these two main kids who are 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I want to cast 15-year-olds.
That's hard.
So
how much is it like?
We're going to go at least 16 because of basically legal reasons.
You can't hire 14.
Oh, we could. So essentially, if we hired anyone under the age of 18, any what do you call that?
Youngster.
Kid. Non-adult. Yeah, it comes with all of these. Like if you're a SAG film, Screen Actors Guild.
Screen Actors.
To do things right, you have to have a studio teacher. They can only work a certain number of hours. It really becomes a budgetary concern because you can't shoot full days. You can't shoot anything close to a full day because you have these legal restrictions on how much you can work. An underage actor, that's the term.
Right.
So, however, when you turn 16 as an actor, if you're serious, you can apply to basically be emancipated, I think is the term. And then under the law, you're treated as an adult. And so we could basically work with 16-year-old actors who wouldn't need the studio teacher and could work the full like a full shoot day. Which I just learned this literally like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So, but yeah, shooting 16 for 15, that's totally cool. Shooting like, an 18-year-old to play a 14, 15-year-old, it's not going to work in my head.
Right. So the voice has to be unbroken.
That's, right.
I remember you talking, on the phone yesterday, you're talking about one potential candidate, and you're like, nope, his voice is broken. He's too far ahead.
Yeah, well,
unfortunately, he's not going to get the role. Yeah.
Has a deeper voice than me, so...
Oh, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
He's going to challenge you on the set.
I'll be like, okay.
He's going to go and go, see this facial hair? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that scruffy.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. It's really... It's an experiment.
Explain to the folks how long you've been growing that.
Right before this podcast, I was like, man, I should probably shave. So don't judge me. This is an experiment.
How many days growth is that?
Probably about 10. You can kind of see it. But there's potential. There's patches. And there's no mustache.
Yeah.
To speak of. Man, I'm stuttering.
Mm.
Anyway, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what it's like. I mean, I don't know how long I can hold off. Before I'm just like, oh my god, it's ugly.
You gotta shave it. Yeah.
I keep on doing. I don't think I've ever crossed the 1 month mark.
Right. But I remember tell.
Okay.
You said there was that study that you saw about beards. Remember that one?
Right.
That was interesting.
And relative, it's basically like relative attractiveness.
Right. So this is good because a lot of Blender people are single.
For all you single lads out there,
listen to this.
I remember reading, and I forget what. Yeah, you got to take this with a grain of salt. Right. But essentially, it has less to do with beard or not beard, but what everyone else is doing. So, like, if you're in a situation, basically the study was, if you show, 50 different women, 10 pictures of men, 9 of whom are bearded, and 1 of whom is clean-shaven, the guy who's clean-shaven is going to, rate higher in terms of attractiveness, because he's the one who stands out from the crowd. And then if you invert that, and they're all clean-shaven, the bearded dude is is going to shoot up. And I just thought that was interesting.
So that is your window of opportunity with the ladies.
Yeah, well, you brought up the hipster movement, and it's like...
I know, I thought you were in the wrong city, San Francisco, to be growing a beard, trying to stand out.
Right.
So many bearded fellows here.
I'm succumbing to peer pressure is what's happening here.
Yeah. I always wonder, like, how do they deal with the fact that they, drinking the coffee with this giant beard? I would have thought the two would not mix.
I see what you're saying.
Like, why... I don't know.
And then you got the whiskers that you kind of have to...
it's... I feel like it was too much work. Oh, the cat's going to join us. Murphy. Come on, Murphy. You want to be on YouTube?
I don't think this is going to work.
I don't think he's coming out. She? He? He.
Murphy is not a girl's name.
Well, it could be. Nowadays.
I guess so.
Come on, man. PC. Not PC. Progressive.
Should I go and pick him up?
Nah, he's gone.
How long has this gone?
It's a good question. You talk to the camera. I'm going to check this recording.
Oh, yeah. I hope it's still going.
Oh, good. It's been an hour.
Oh, nice.
You keep talking.
Oh, what should we talk about?
So you got a job at Pixar.
Yes.
What are you doing at Pixar?
We haven't even got... It's been an hour.
Yeah, we were slowly getting... I bet the people at home are like furious. Like, just hurry up. Gosh, you started with something and you keep derailing.
Yeah. Okay, so I work in the camera and staging department, which is also called layout.
Layout.
That's
You're
right.
a layout lead?
I am a layout artist.
You're not the director? No, layout. Aren't you layout director or something?
I was on one project, Lava, which is the next Pixar theatrical short. I was the layout lead, so I there's
I thought you were DP.
Well, it depends what you call it. Yeah, I was the director of photography of camera, but probably that's not the credit I'm going to get. On the actual credits.
Okay.
I think it's going to be called camera supervisor. But in any case, I was like, if this is a bigger show, it would be called the camera DP, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
But normally, so films you've worked on, Monsters University.
Right. Toy Story of Terror.
Oh, yes.
A 30-minute TV special.
Which is actually, like, golden.
Oh.
Like, I was like...
You saw it, right?
Yeah, I did. And I thought, like, when I saw it on, like, my parents' DVR or whatever...
Yeah.
Toy Story of Terror is going to suck. I watched it anyway. And it was like... It's like an extension of the movie or something. It was, like, had a full-on story. It was, like... Because you know how, like, they do rip-offs? They put out Shrek, and then there's, like... Shrek's Adventures, and it's like, and they don't have the right voice actors,
Yeah.
But this was like, so if you haven't seen it, I don't know if you can see it online.
I don't know either. I think it's being released on Blu-ray.
Wow.
But I don't know.
Just by itself.
With
Toy Story of Terror.
A collection of other shorts or something like that. But yeah.
So Monsters University, Toy Story of Terror. Mm-hmm. And the latest ones.
I worked on The Good Dinosaur for a short period of time.
Which is coming out.
Before that was postponed, that whole project.
Uh-huh.
That's coming out, I think, fall of 2015. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. And about the time your short films.
Oh, yeah? And then I worked on Lava for 8 months or so.
Which is another short film.
Which is, definitely I would say the highlight of my experience so far, just because of the role, and working super closely with the director on that. And then for the last 6 months or so, I've been working on Inside Out.
Inside Out, which is another Pixar feature-length film coming out at end of 2015?
May of 2015, yeah. So less than a year from now.
Oh, wait, I thought Good Dinosaur comes out first.
Nope. There's two films that are released next year. And,
I swear you told me the other day it was the other way around. I thought Good Dinosaur's first. No?
Yeah, not anymore. It was supposed to be initially.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then it got postponed.
Oh, how about that?
Yep. It was definitely a big deal. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So
Inside Out.
and that was
kind of cool. So we're going to get 2 Pixar films next year.
That's right.
That's going to be
cool. Lava opens Inside Out, which is going to be really cool. So the very next thing that anyone sees from Pixar is going to be a short...
This guy's handiwork.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of camera. And, I can't claim all of it. I had a couple of people also on my team that did excellent work. So, yeah, I'm very excited. It's funny because I finished that, like my role in that short, I was done by January, February of this year. a full 16 months before it's released into the world.
Wow.
I started it a year ago, and it's still going to be a year before it's released theatrically. So
isn't that kind of like crushing?
By the time it comes out, I'm going to be like, yeah. Could have done that so much better.
I know. I don't know, like the way I do stuff, I'm like, go from Pixar to Blender. I whenever I make like a tutorial, I just want to release it straight away because I just want to see like a reaction because like that's what you do it for.
Yeah.
Any art thing is to see the reaction. So to be able to have to hold off,
you got to sit on it. Yeah,
it feels painful.
Yeah.
Like I did this like 3D World magazine. They wanted a tutorial from me or something. And so I did this architectural scene or whatever, spent like a week on it or whatever. And then like, when's it going to be published? Like August 1st, like, or middle of August or something. And I was like, really? Like 2 months? Like what? And it was like, so like just out of like what I'm used to. Cause I was like, you can't sit on something for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like post it and like, no, you can't share anything until it's in published.
Well, what's really interesting is the technology for these films. Like at a certain point, we lock, from a pipeline standpoint, from a release, Murphy, be careful. It's my laptop. From a software release perspective, it's like if Gooseberry took 2 years, but we're going to lock it at 2.71, right? Starting now.
Oh, yeah.
But Pixar films take 4 years or longer. That's like the minimum. And the technology evolves so rapidly in this field, right? That actually, like, by the time Monsters University came out, the technology used to create it was like 4 years old, pretty much. Really? I don't know how much that's like actually accurate, but like just generally from just so many decisions and it is something like this represents like a half a decade of stuff, and it kind of is older rather than fresh, which is interesting. Yeah, really interesting to think about.
Yeah, that is weird. Because I remember, like, Toy Story 3 had, like, it was the first time they used, like, global illumination. What do you call it? Bounce lighting. Mm-hmm. I don't know the different terms.
I think the first global illumination feature at Pixar was Monsters, actually.
It was Monsters? What, Monsters?
University, sorry.
Oh, Monsters University?
Yeah.
That came out before Toy Story 3?
The first ray tracing, from what I remember, was Cars. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, before then there was no true ray tracing.
Are you serious? Yeah. Cars, I feel like, was not that long ago.
This is not my department, so I'm probably, I'm probably off, but that's
right. Wow, it's kind of crazy.
Well,
You're always getting calls.
Sorry about that.
I
am directing a movie.
Person. Okay, so we should explain what layout is.
Have we not done that? Yeah. Okay.
Because what happened was we started this video recording, and I asked, "So what is a layout artist, Colin?"
And then I blabbered for like 15 minutes, which is what's about to happen most likely.
To save you though. Okay. It is a hard thing.
I think you're good.
Okay, I thought it was going to fall.
Oh.
And like layout is a hard thing to explain because as hobby artists,
right?
Like we do not do that ever,
right?
So as part of a team,
it's a very important stage, and it's also something that I think like it's just bizarre to me that it's not taught in animation schools. Like everyone knows what character animation is.
Right, that's right.
Everyone wants to be a character animator.
Yeah.
There's only a certain number of slots, in studios, and there's lots of other roles that are not emphasized in animation schools,
right,
that are equally important and super creative and really, really interesting. Right. Like layout is a good example. Like no one really knew what that was in the entire animation department at SCAD, but like in terms of departments that are hiring at Pixar, like there's an opening for a layout artist. I don't know if that's true for animation right now.
Right.
So it is a smaller department. There's only about 20 guys in 24 or so at Pixar. But yeah, it's basically about well, it's like I said, it's also called camera and staging, and that's really a descriptive term because it's about camera and it's about staging.
What is staging?
So staging is also character blocking. It is how characters move in relation to each other, in relation to the set, in relation to the camera, and how we tell a story through action.
So let's say, using a Monsters University example.
Sure.
You've got Mike and Sully, and they're having a conversation in a dorm room or whatever.
Right.
So you want to know how to position the camera in relation to these two characters. Basically, it's like composition and camera work. Like, where do you put things to tell?
Yeah, like
without it feeling weird.
Right. I mean, camera-wise, it's like cinematography. You have to have something to shoot, right? And so you have to put your characters somewhere, and and that's part of our job. But definitely, our focus is composition, shot design, what the camera is doing. So lens choice, shot progression, eye trace, shot flow from one to the other. These are all things where it's like, and it kind of like there's a lot of creativity in that, and there's a lot of structure in that's kind of invisible. So, is this scene shot static? Is it on a tripod? Are we moving? Is it a dynamic scene that requires more pushes and that kind of thing? Do we track with characters versus panning with them? How do we shoot it? Essentially, is the question. We have action that is dictated to us by the boards. So the whole story department is amazing at Pixar, and they do incredibly detailed storyboards where almost every beat of action is drawn. So we get a locked sequence that works pretty well. It's like here's the scene, here's what we need to do, but it's 2D, and so we're the ones kind of interpreting the storyboards, diving in for the first time in 3D, taking the sets, taking the characters, taking our camera rig.
Which are all like low poly.
Yeah, we're using like a layout stand-in version of our characters. Yeah. So Sully, for a while he didn't have hair, and then by the end the layout stand-in was actually pretty good looking, pretty darn good.
Nice.
But yeah, they are lighter, so that because we may have hundreds of characters, we also kind of if there's crowd scenes, we'll be dispersing and composing extras, digital extras in the background and making them move along their paths and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's like figuring out the timing and of the shots and the camera moves and what the characters are doing. It's very rough. I am animating Mike and Sully in that case. They are starting from from the bunk bed or whatever, and they're jumping down and they're moving across, and they're having a conversation, but their jaw is open when they're talking, and then closed when they're not.
Oh, I see.
Or not. Okay. Maybe not even that level of detail.
So basic.
When a character is running, there's no run cycle there. They're translating in one axis across the set.
Explain what translating is.
They are
moving.
Hit G from a...
How did that become the standard for CG work?
Hit 7, then hit G, and move your mouse.
Right.
That's what translation is.
Right.
So they're moving across a set in a static run pose. So, they should be kind of posed like this, But then, just moving, and we don't want them to feel like they're just sliding. So we actually do add like a hobble, basically TZ is what we call it, because it's translation in Z, up and down.
I see. So they just go like do.
Yep.
Boom, 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 boom.
And that's what a layout run should look like.
Okay.
The thing that we pay a lot of attention to is eye lines. So where is a character looking exactly? And because reverse shot is such a crucial kind of film language thing that should be invisible. You've got a shot on Sully, he's looking at Mike. You go to the reverse shot over Sully's shoulder on Mike, and they should look like they're looking at each other. And that is it's actually easy to break that. it's really easy to break that. And so it's really important to pay attention to the line of action and eye lines. Make sure that cinematography in general, especially like what that means at Pixar is definitely like supposed to be kind of invisible in a lot of ways. It should reinforce the story and be efficient, you know, like a problem like eye lines or cut, like usually the choice is made to iron out the kinks and make it just work, you know, and that's the challenge, because sometimes it's not straightforward and things are cheated, you know, like rarely am I shooting through walls, but this is a world where we can do anything, and a lot of times I'm, you know, subtly redressing things in terms of the set. I'm placing the camera in ways that would be probably pretty difficult for a physical camera, but solving problems visually. That dorm room that you mentioned, you know, is actually tiny. It's tiny.
In Monsters University.
Yeah, and so it actually presented a number of challenges in terms of
how to film it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And I remember you were saying something interesting about what was it, like if a camera's panning forward and the character's over here, it should be actually moving towards.
Yeah, that was one of the first, I think, layout like lessons I learned.
Here's a tip for the blender.
Tip: if you're gonna so if you got a character and you want to do a push or you're pulling away, more likely we're doing pushes. You know, moment of significance. Let's push into them. There's actually a point. There's a single pixel in the picture frame that is not moving. Like anytime you do a push, you're converging towards a certain pixel, essentially, a certain point.
That's
and
true.
And so what we spend time doing is set up our dolly so that it pushes exactly between the character's eyes. So the eyes are physically in screen space, staying pretty much exactly where they are, because that's where the audience generally is looking. And everything around is what's sort of converging or moving away from that point.
Tip, and it's something
it's invisible.
Never know.
Yeah. But like there's a few places in Sintel where I'm definitely like pushing off the character, not even thinking about it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. So for example, like in Up, when he's like broken and he just had that big fight with the kid or whatever, and then he's like sitting in his house and he's on the cliff and he's trying to be happy, and he's sitting there and he's got the book open and he's panning through the book of his wife or whatever.
Right.
And there's two chairs sitting next to him.
Right.
And then there's the moment where like he discovers there's more pages. And then the camera moves in.
Right.
It's actually moving carefully towards his eyes.
Most likely. We should pull it up.
Yeah.
But that's a Patrick Lynn show, and I was just working on Inside Out. Which
of course.
The DP for.
I was just trying to think of an example.
He's told all about that. So I'm betting, and I bet that, I mean, that's such a crucial sequence. He may have even done the layout for that himself.
Wow.
I'm not sure, but yeah, most
that
likely.
Was the point in the movie where people start crying. There was 2 points, wasn't there? There was the opening 10 minutes of the, and then it just breaks you, which was really brutal of Pixar.
Yeah. Pete Doctor, yeah.
Let's just make everybody cry, and then we have to work on the movie. You know, like now we have to bring them for 2 hours to the rest of the movie, but geez, man, that was Up is one of my favorite Pixar
And then
films.
the little pin at the end when he gives him the little grape soda pin.
Oh right,
you're kind of getting a little teary.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
It's an emotional movie. It's so good.
It is very good. What's another like? I don't think of that. Oh, Toy Story 3.
So,
you know the scene?
Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
Where they're at the not the end actually, in the rubbish thing.
Yeah, in the incinerator.
Oh my gosh, I almost cried. Seriously, because it was like dealing with such a deep issue with like people, and like you can relate to like people in society who are like have gone through turmoil and they're trying to survive, and they've always worked together to pull themselves out, and then there's a moment where they give up. where they realize this is the end.
Yeah.
And they all like hold hands on this rubbish thing, and they're like staring into the flames, and the music is building, and I was just like,
it's powerful.
it's so powerful. Like I'm thinking about it now, I'm like getting like sad. And then of course, you know, the claw like saves him or whatever, and I was like, whew. But geez, it's kind of funny that I saw on YouTube this guy had played a prank on his mom and sister or whatever.
Oh,
they hadn't seen
that's
the movie
the end,
before.
right?
And so he cut the movie so that that he put the, you know, DVD on, like, you got to watch Toy Story 3, except like right at that point, like where they're staring into the flames, he made it fade out into the credits. And then and the reaction of his mom is this is, it's like, what? What? They just, no, they can't just die. And they were just like angry, like, this is the worst movie, you know?
You know, I think that was I think that I am cold-hearted because that
you would have ended it there.
No, that moment, I feel like I wanted that to work for me, and it works for so many people, and it's great. Like, it's undeniably great. But the whole time I was just like, how are they going to get out of it? How are they going to get out of this? Like, clearly, screenwriting structure dictates that there's gonna be something.
Right.
Like, what's that gonna be?
That's because you're wrapped into thinking about stories, I think.
But I should just be, like, embracing, like, just experiencing the movie because it's such a great movie. That's the cost of working in the movie industry, is you cannot see it like a normal person anymore. Yeah, maybe.
The curtain has been pulled down. Yeah. You now see the behind the scenes.
Well, certainly.
You know how stories work and how there's going to be a pick-me-up, you know.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like great movies, generally, I can still experience them like movies.
Like Planet of the Apes. Yeah. Rise,
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So good.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Go see it.
Yeah. Colin recommends it
highly.
Highly. Yes. He insisted I go and see it.
Oh, look. My hair is like
lit
on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
We can see ourselves on a little screen. Colin's camera, by the way, if you're wondering why this looks great.
I don't know if it will.
Because Colin has a extremely fancy camera that is like movie cinema quality almost, right? Oh, look. He's pulling it in. Make it a bit tighter.
The whole thing was far too wide. Is this better? Oh, the whole thing should have been like this.
Don't worry, you can fix it. Fix it in post.
Oh, okay.
You shooting in 4K?
No, because otherwise we wouldn't have space on this SSD.
The SSD, that's right.
I should have been shooting in 4K though, because then you could pan and scan. You could be like, you ask a question, and then you just pan over to me.
That'd be so annoying, though.
Yeah, it would be a lot of work.
That'd be so. I mean, not annoying, but I think like annoying for the audience as well.
Well, you could cut in, like if I'm picking my nose over here, no one wants to see that. You just cut in.
No, we cut into that.
Oh,
right. We get because that reveals the personality.
Right. I see. Yeah. I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just keep it subtle. I wasn't like, and then I'll just like.
Oh gosh, the people that are just listening to the audio of this, they're just annoyed.
Yeah, you should do this.
We should just make references to things that only people can see.
Just what do you think of this book over here?
This book, I feel like it's got some racial undertones.
Yeah. I don't think anyone can read the title of that. Mythology of All Races.
Mythology of All Races.
You know, no one was going to notice that book until we pointed it out.
Yeah, we had to get rid of some suspect looking books on this shelf here before we started. Yeah. Hey, tell us about the perks of working at Pixar, because we've all seen, you know, the little documentaries of like, this is the Pixar headquarters, and they have free cereal, and they have, you know, a ping pong table or whatever. Yeah. And then I went there the other day. You showed me at nighttime, and it was so much more than that. Was it? Because I feel like it's pretty much exactly what. Well, it is kind of fairy tale land in a way. I mean, I'm still. You have bagels on Monday. Sure. Yeah. Which is nothing. You know, nobody else gets that. Bagels with like, well, I assume you get like all condiments and cream cheese. Oh yeah, yeah. You get the lots, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And you say you look forward to that. So I do. Cool. I look forward to Monday mornings because the bagels are. Well, yeah. There's that. I mean, there's there's cafes on campus, and that's where I eat lunch most of the time, 90% of the time, and it's delicious food. It's not free food, but it's delicious and lots of variety. Highly subsidized.
highly subsidized, so yeah, relatively inexpensive. There's a soccer field, so I play soccer every once in a while. I try to do it at least once a week, but depends on whether or not the field is open. Because, we've been tearing it up with our cleats. A lot of free movies, you know.
Oh, that's right. They have a theater.
They do.
A theater at the Pixar headquarters, and tell us about the theater.
Oh, it's great. I mean, some of my best movie-going experiences are at this theater. It's just like pristine picture and sound.
Is it digital projector?
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if it's 4K or not.
Wow.
But it's super nice.
Wow.
And there's several theaters on campus. I'm visiting speakers. We have a pool. We have a basketball court.
It's pretty sweet at nighttime.
Nice and lit up.
It's like a hotel resort.
Do you know how many times I have used that pool?
Okay, but I know the answer is probably like really like one.
Yeah.
Is it really one? Oh my god.
I have. I even bought some goggles for the occasion. I was like, I'm going to start swimming. I went once.
Colin.
Yeah.
You bought the goggles.
I mean, here's the thing about working at Pixar.
You hadn't experienced this being underwater.
Right.
It's like, all right, I gotta prepare for this.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure.
Well, I want to open my eyes. I want to see what it's like. And I don't want to just open them, right in the water. Do you do that when you swim?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I can't do that.
Yeah, and then you
I'm
feel
very
like the
sensitive
weight
about
of
my
the
eyes.
chlorine later on, and you're like,
Right.
But it's a saltwater pool.
You're probably degrading your eyesight by 0.0001%.
Yes. Yeah,
every time you chlorinate.
How long do you spend in front of that monitor every day?
Okay, good point.
We're talking about degrading eyeyesight.
Yeah.
Jeez, probably 12-hour shifts or whatever. Good grief.
But
I've had to get this guy out of the house. So I had to come in like, all right, it's about 4:00. What do you say we go for a walk? And you're like,
No. Give me a hand.
Okay. All right, where? Walking where? Just to walk, man. Just to walk. This is my subtle to get him.
Well, before you
get him moving,
the 3 or 4 days,
and then you went running.
Oh, that one time. Okay, Andrew thinks I started running next to Andrew. I think we were jogging, and he glances over to me, and cracks up. And I'm like, "What's the deal, man? What's so funny?"
It wasn't that you started sprinting around in circles, burning up all your energy or something, and I was almost on the floor laughing because he runs like an upright lizard, just like this kind of thing, and he's got this comical look on his face,
I mean, I feel like an upright lizard when I run. It's not.
It was like your body didn't know what to do with itself.
Yeah, I'm a little uncoordinated. I admit it. But you made me really self-conscious, and now anytime I feel like, increasing my speed, I'm like, no, I'm gonna stick to a healthy walk.
Oh no!
I don't want strangers, looking over and being like, that guy looks like an upright lizard. Because I actually run a lot. I run a lot at Pixar.
Oh, you did?
I remember on Lava, the edit suite is in one corner of the building, and I'm on the other side, and there's a bridge that crosses, and so I would run across back and forth between the edit suite and my office, and people would make comments, but I don't think they were as honest as you.
They didn't tell you what you needed to hear.
Yeah. From now on, maybe I should invest in one of those scooters.
How would that help?
Yeah. Well, I'm just using a scooter to get back and forth.
No, but the point I was thinking exercise.
Oh, I see.
You don't want to be one of those people on the scooters.
Yeah.
Because you see them.
Right.
And it's not a good look.
I see. So the point I was going to get to is all of these perks, they exist, and they're real, and it's true, and it's cool, amazing. But there comes a point at which, that kind of fades away, and you kind of it is a 9 to 5. It's a job, you know. And a lot of times I have there's a screening that I really want to go to. I don't know, even recently, Jean Favreau was coming with his film, whatever he has out now. He was going to do a Q&A before the or maybe after the screening. It's like, oh, awesome. I have too much to do. And it's right. He's right there.
Oh my god.
He's right in the main theater.
People at Comic-Con would have lined up for a day.
Oh, true. You got to talk about your Comic-Con experience. This is the Blender Guru podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, well, first of all, finish your point, because you were talking about how
my
it's
point is made.
job.
Yeah, it's just like you gotta get the
It's
work
like any
done.
other job.
Yeah,
You got to work hard.
yeah.
But you get perks, but you don't get time to use them.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con. So, I plan to spend 2 weeks here at Colin's house, solid working. And then, Colin said, hey, Matt Kennedy's got some tickets, free tickets to Comic-Con. You want to go? I was like, oh, yeah. I've never been to Comic-Con. Yeah, let's go. That sounds pretty cool. And little do we know, this would turn into a 5-day long, exhausting draw. Not the Comic-Con itself, but first of all, we drove from San Francisco to LA, which was 8 hours because of some minor turbulence.
Oh, do we want to mention it, or do we want to skip over it?
Oh, we gotta mention it.
Oh, God.
So this guy can't stomach anything. So he was, so we got in the car and we pulled over like you were along the way, you were just kind of like an hour into the drive, you're like, I feel a little bit, I don't know, kind of sick, a little bit woozy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, anyways, we pull over to the subway. And
I thought maybe I just needed like...
You're like, I need some food in my stomach. And then you're like, he was like staring at the table like his life was about to end and he knew it. And he's like, I'm just going to go to the toilet and I'm just going to try and vomit. Like just straight out. I'm like, do it, man. It's better here than anywhere else. So he goes away. Like 10 minutes pass. He comes back and he's like, I couldn't do it. And he goes, I'm going to go again. So he went back. No success. So he felt sick. And
but we, the clock was ticking. We had to get down to LA.
That was the thing. We had to get to LA, and this was slowing us down. So he's like, "We just got to go." So we got back in the car. I'm now driving, and first time being in a car in a long time. Like, I mean, on the opposite side of the road. So I'm sort of like, all right, where's the thing? All right, got the reverse kind of thing, and you're just going like kind of thing. I reverse out, literally like go around the corner. There's like some bumps or whatever on the way. I think I like hit some of them deliberately. Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't want to go on the highway with this guy, you know? Yeah. And so then you're just like, okay, just pull over. And I'm like, all right. So I just pull over. And then you're just like sitting in the car, like frozen, like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, we opened the door. And I like opened the door and you just went,
well, that's exactly what happens. And I felt so much better. So then we get to LA. To move the story forward, I think it was food poisoning. I don't know what I had.
I don't think it was food poisoning because you don't eat anything. I think it was stress.
Really?
I think it was your body going like, dude, do something.
I am starving right now.
Yeah?
And stressed.
Yeah. Because we're talking about that experience. on the cat. Anyway, so we get to LA and then I had to then get up really early. Like, we got there late, and I had to get up extremely early to catch a train to San Diego. So, now I'm at the Comic-Con. So,
you keep talking.
My whole point, my whole reason... Get me one as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Fill her up.
Yes, need one.
Thank you, sir. So, one time I get to boss the director around. Anyways, so I get to the old Comic-Con convention place. And my whole reason for going almost was that I wanted to see the Game of Thrones panel. They had Jon Snow. They had like Sansa Stark, Arya Stark. I don't know the names of the actors. Jaime Lannister, like all the big star, and George Martin himself, whatever. So I wanted to go to this thing, this panel, and I knew that it was going to be packed. So I got there like 5 hours early for this panel, which was going to start at 1. And so I'm like racing through the thing. Once the doors are, I'm like, where's this panel? Like, where do I line up? Where do I line up? What's going on? Where? And so I run all the way to Hall H, which I then learned Hall H is like one of the most dreaded, like, venues of the thing because it's so big, but it has everything that anyone wants to go to. So I run and I pull up like outside to like where the entrance is. And, like, I'm looking around and I'm, like, asking people, like, where is the line? Where do I line up so that I can get into this thing, which starts in like 5 hours or whatever. And they've cut off this area, and there is like a line of people that's like slowly moving past, kind of thing. And I'm looking ahead, and I'm like, okay, so this is the line here, like where people are moving, but they cut the area off, like I can't go anywhere. And so I asked the guy next to me, like, where do you line up for the Game of Thrones thing? Like, how do you get there, kind of thing? And he said, he's like, he's like, oh, you want to go see the Game of Thrones thing? Okay. And so he just like yells out to like some like people that are passing in the line. He's like, what time did you guys start lining up? And they just yell back, 2 a.m. And so it starts at 1:30. They started lining up at 2 a.m. that morning to go see this Game of Thrones thing. So I was like, and then everybody just started laughing. And I think people in the line joined in. The security guard was laughing. Everybody was having a grand old time of laughing. And they're like, you're going to get into Game of Thrones? You're not going to get into the Game of Thrones. It's not going to happen for you. And then I realized that Comic-Con has far too many people for the size of the venue. It's actually ridiculous. 160,000 people, I think, came, and it was a line for everything, even stuff you didn't want to go to. There's a line for it. And is it just me now? Is this what this is about?
For a few minutes.
Yeah. So, anyways, the rest of the Comic-Con was like, first of all, like the first like half day, like I was hating it because I didn't get anything. It was like, it was, stuff that I didn't know. There was like comics that I'd never heard of before, like comic books, shows, stuff. And is it still recording?
I don't know. Yep.
It is. Fantastic. So there was like, I just didn't get it. I felt like an alien in this convention center, and there's people around and they're just hyped up and they're like bouncing around and they're going like, yeah, it's this thing, and they're meeting this author and they're getting this signature thing. I had no idea, and I was just like, screw this place. Like, this is retarded. Who enjoys this kind of thing? But then I went to go and see the Kevin Smith little presentation thing, and that was actually fantastic. And he kind of like broke down the walls of the nerd culture, explained, like he went to the set of Star Wars and he talked about that, and he talked about how he's made his latest movie called Tusk. And from then on, like the next day, like I enjoyed it. It was just I don't know, it just made it kind of like approachable. Unlike this cat, which is just like, how do you like my butt? My God. What, are you gonna move? Show yourself. Charles. Anyways, we should probably put the camera back on you, right?
Right.
Thank you for the drink, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
So we got to resume. But, that was a pretty anticlimactic story. Talking about Comic-Con. But the whole LA trip, that's too long to drive. I don't think I ever want to do it again.
The drive was alright, though. The drive back.
Oh, the drive back was alright. Everybody was well.
Yeah. No vomiting this time. Oops.
Oh, man.
Yep.
You adjusted the camera mid-recording.
Yep, I did. And everyone's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And we should address the elephant in the room.
We talked about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got this little shirt that my wife made me with a Blender Gorilla logo in it. And Colin suggested I put it up like a flag for the podcast. It looks pretty lame. It's like this has been recorded in like a garage or something. And like, this is my company. Yeah. You have to know about it. Let's put it like midway. No. There we go.
All right.
Did we talk about your short film even?
Yeah, we did. That's how we started.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And we pitched it horribly.
We did pitch it horribly.
Yeah.
But basically, in the next couple of days...
It's very exciting. I'm very excited about this movie.
It should be
I've been, I think we talked about it. I've been working on the script for a year and a half at this point, which I've never spent such a long time writing something. It's a concept that I'm really excited about. It's sci-fi, which is something I've been wanting to do, and I was sort of edging in that territory with The Secret Number. But this is visual sci-fi. It's actually got elements that we've never seen before visually. It will require a great number of visual effects. It's cool because it sets up a world and it ends sort of on a cliffhanger. So part of the point is to kind of introduce a world and a story and characters in a way that's super fun, but also like leaves you wanting more, because ultimately I wanna make movies, and like I want to figure out how to do that. And so I've been looking at a lot of, over the past few years, there's been a lot of short films that have come out and made huge splashes on YouTube or Vimeo, whatever, like just they go viral. And then
Pixels.
Pixels is a good example, yeah. With a few of them.
Pixels. Explain Pixels.
I wish I knew the director.
Right.
It's a French guy who made a short film. It's great. Super short, high concept, fun, really well executed.
And it was like shots of a city, and then like Space Invaders kind of pixel blocks moving through the city. And what happens? Like they blow things up or whatever?
Sort of like Tetris, like... Yeah, it's kind of games. There's so many games, right? That were referenced throughout the runtime of this thing. Frogger, is that one of them?
Little things, yeah.
Yeah, Pac-Man and other like 80s sort of arcade style games.
Very, very simple, yes.
I remember one part of it is there was Tetris. It came down, and as soon as a row was completed, the entire top half of the building like fell, just like visually what you come to expect when you're playing Tetris. So I mean, just very clever short. Anyway, like that's not the type of thing. There's very little narrative.
Yeah,
not the type of thing that you would really think, oh, this would make a great Hollywood movie. Right. But apparently he released it, and that thing was bought for $1 million by Sony Pictures, and this next year it's coming out with
starring
Adam Sandler. Yeah,
Adam Sandler. When I heard that, I thought, "There's no way that is true." Yeah, no way. And then I was at Comic-Con, and they had like plastered advertisements, Pixels, Adam Sandler, and I was like, "It's real. It's happening." Yeah. Like I don't know how they can actually turn that into a feature thing. I guess Adam Sandler's going to play like 5 roles.
I read the synopsis and I was like, I could see this working. Yeah? I totally forget what it is.
I wonder if he's kind of like turning his career around.
Maybe.
You shook your head when you said that.
I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, so there's been a number of shorts kind of in that vein.
And they've been bought out for big bucks and made into feature films or bought by companies to own the rights for.
Yeah, optioned, or if nothing else, it puts you on the map. And I've made several shorts before, and to be honest, it's just like I feel like it's time to make something else. It's been years, plural, since I've been working on my own personal project. Yeah, and I've been getting antsy. Like Secret Number, when I finished that, I was working at Pixar, so it took me some time. But since then, it's been a couple of years of not really feeling like I'm doing my own work. And I've always been working on a short. For the last decade of my life, I've been working on a film of my own, and so I'm feeling very happy. To now be finally getting back into it. Yeah, I mean that's really it is like half the reason. 90% of the reason actually.
That you're doing something now.
Yeah, it's like. I have to. I'm getting antsy. Yeah. So, and Pixar is super, super cool in that they are, I haven't quit my job. I am taking 3 months off and unpaid, obviously, but like that is pretty cool. That flexibility, so I can focus on it and then go back to this job that I love and be working on post production and editing and.
That's gonna be pretty sweet.
Over the next year or so.
Because then you're working at Pixar, you got a job, a stable job. Right. And then at home, you got this other thing.
I wish the time ratio was a little bit different. Because when I'm full-time at Pixar, there's very little room for life, for other things.
So you're going to be even more in your bedroom
Right.
than you already are, and just hammering it out.
Yeah.
No, but that's how it is. It's like when you want to, like, and so few people do it. They work a job, a full-time job, and they talk about how, like, oh, I really want to do this thing, but I don't have time because of work. I want to have a website. I want to like sell, arts and crafts, or I want to like become good at drawing, but I don't have time. I have work. But most people do really, but they instead insist on watching TV shows or movies or playing games or something like that. And so what it takes is working at a day job and then coming home and working a second job.
Pretty much.
Which is at times even more stressful.
Yeah.
Usually more stressful because now you're in control of it. And it's hard work and not many people do it, but it's what you need to do to basically succeed in just not just like as a person, but like sort of like in life. Like you've got to be doing something to be happy, and I feel like that the people that are the most unhappiest in the world are the ones who are just that. They have a job, they're not really, it's not their passion, whatever, and they come home and they watch shows, they get a little bit excited when they watch a movie, but most of the time it's just like, it's sad. And so I feel like you have to be working on something. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, like, the definition of happiness is working towards a worthy goal that you believe in, basically. And that is what keeps you happy. You have to have it. So, like, people assume, like happiness is, like, on an island, a resort paradise. Where you wake up to the sound of the ocean washing in, and there's nobody around you, and you come out and you have breakfast, and you just chill, and you relax on the beach.
Yeah.
And, that's great for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, I went on my honeymoon and we went to like one of Australia's amazing hotels, which is called Qualia, like part owned or like run by, who's that chick? The one who was married to Orlando Bloom? Oh, Miranda Kerr.
There you go.
Supermodel. Anyway, and it's like Oprah stayed there. It's like this nice place on this island with white beaches.
And you're there with your laptop,
beautiful,
blending.
And we were there, and it was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
But it's I think Jim Gaffigan, he had like a bit on it. Like, it doesn't matter how good a hotel is. Like, it could be the most amazing hotel you've ever been at.
Yeah.
But after a few days, you're just like, really? Like, mint on my pillows again? You couldn't shake it up with something else? Like we expect more. And so, like, bringing it back to, like, the vision of being happy, that's not happiness. And you would not be happy, even if you could have that lifestyle.
One thing I worry about as a human being is whether or not I'm, like, capable of achieving happiness. Like,
yeah, I wonder that.
There are people who have a job that's not, nothing all that special. They come home and maybe they watch their TV or whatever. They got, like a family or what. Like, there are people who can be happy, not working towards goals. Who have like a different definition of what that is, and like are more experience oriented rather than, like project, oriented or whatever. And I just like, I am realizing how I am just always, no matter what, I'm discontent. No matter how great I've got it, I'm going to find things that I wish were different. And I'm going to, like, that's troubling to me because, like, Pixar was a huge, huge goal of mine. When I was 15 years old, when Monsters, Inc. came out, it was like, oh my God,
I have to work.
And like, it's crazy. It's a dream come true.
Right.
Yet, I'm like, oh, I haven't made a movie of my own. And
yeah, now what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm dreaming towards bigger things already, and yet I'm at this dream place. And so, like, I think that's how it goes. No matter where you are, you will always be like, wanting something better and striving towards something better. Or in my, like, the negative way of saying it is, I will always be discontent, which, is a problem, but it's also, I think, a healthy thing. You know, it's part of what drives me to work. You know, because even in my work as a layered artist, you know, I'm a perfectionist still. You know, I could have done that better. I should have done this differently. I could, you know, next time. I'm gonna shoot this better, or I'm not gonna make the same mistake, or you know, you always learn.
I often wonder about that. Like, you look at like the great artists or the great, I don't know, just focusing solely on like movies or TV shows or whatever. At like people that have perfected it, or they've produced something amazing, but I think at what cost? That's what I always think. I think at like we are seeing the result of it, and we think they're amazing. Like Steve Jobs, like look what he did in his lifetime. How on earth,
right?
Like, did a nerd become one of the most famous, you know, almost celebrities in the world, and you know, basically change the course of technology to what it is now? Like the fact that these old things basically did change the way, like especially change the mobile industry. There's not a phone surviving today that has a keypad anymore.
Right.
And when it came out, touchscreen, everyone's like,
will that work? Yeah.
No buttons? Are you serious? You know. But now we scoff at anything with a button. So, you know, how did Steve Jobs get there? And I think like, wow, that's aspiring. Like, I want to do that. I want to be able to, you know, do something big like that. But then I think like, at what cost? Like, what would it take? In
his personal story, like, what sacrifices were made?
Yeah, what sacrifices did he make? Because working on any project, as you know, it's stressful. Yeah. And you get worn out. I feel like every project is like taking like a year off your life.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, it's interesting. Okay, a few things to say. First, statistically, from what I remember reading about the Directors Guild of America, DGA, it's you know, the guild for directors. Yeah. The life expectancy is far below average.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Really just interesting. So
for directors.
Yeah. So these projects do take years off your life. You know, it's like the amount of stress that is pretty typical in your role as director. Maybe it's part that. Maybe it's like success. Maybe, I mean, I don't know what Hollywood like culture is like, but surely in the past, you know, drugs and like unhealthy lifestyles have been a big part of that scene. Yeah. So maybe that contributes. I don't really know, but it is definitely, that's a statistic, and it's, you know, it's very interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so secondly, there's a couple quotes that are coming to mind that are really interesting about this, and specifically about directing. James Cameron and Robert Zemeckis both have said things.
What's Robert Zemeckis done?
Robert Zemeckis directed Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay.
Among other things.
Right.
He's also, in terms of animation, he's the one responsible for such atrocities as Beowulf and Polar Express. These mocap films. But he's really
I've talked about them before on the podcast.
Yeah. he's honestly, you know, up until his digital transition, like one of my favorite directors.
Sure.
So awesome.
Yeah, Forrest Gump. That's a
yeah. Back to the Future.
Oh wow!
Right?
Okay.
Am I wrong about that? Contact, I think. There's a few.
Maybe. I derailed. Okay. Go on.
Yeah. So I remember just reading some interview with him, and he was like, basically, he totally sacrificed life. He sacrificed his 20s, his entire 20s. Like he regrets it. At least in the context of that interview, he couched it in such a way that it's like he really threw away a lot, and he wished he didn't. And it was all for what ultimately proved to be meaningless in his head. Obviously, he wouldn't be the success that he is had he not thrown away his 20s, in his own words. But so it's interesting to hear that he kind of, you know, has second thoughts about those decisions that he was making. I wish I had the actual text, and maybe I'll find it, because it's a fascinating interview, and you rarely hear it. I mean, it just felt very honest, you know, and open. And then James Cameron, you know, I'm also going to botch this. I don't really remember the exact words, but he's been married several times, and I don't remember who it was, who one of his wives, who was like talking about raising a family or whatever, and he basically said there's like any guy, like any fucker can make a baby, or a kid, or raise a family,
He has a way with words.
There's only five guys on the planet who can do what I do, is what he said,
Right.
and like that's what he's about. That's what his entire life is about. And I think so many people who are really passionate about, who achieve in various fields are completely obsessed by those things and don't really have much else. I think Steve Jobs, really interesting, to look at his life. But like a guy like Elon Musk, I just wonder, what is his life like outside of... Yeah, even...
I feel like there's only so many hours in a day. And like to get to that stage, you got to work yourself to the bone.
Yeah.
And
that's what it is.
And not just like sitting at a desk, like passively working, but like constantly hitting decisions that will affect everything.
Yeah.
Like that's the hardest like part about, I find like work-wise, making decisions is where I like screech to a halt.
Yeah.
And I like procrastinate a decision about something.
Yeah.
Like, do I hire somebody for this? Do I participate in this, magazine thing? Or do I do something else? And I'm like, do I have time for this? And I'm just like, I hate making the decision. It's the hardest part. But it like wears you down. So working for like that amount of time and like on a business, I don't think we realize like how like detrimental that could be like, to your health,
Well, you actually strike me as someone who's found a balance,
Oh, yeah?
First of all, you're a married man. We were talking earlier about, you go for runs or you go to the gym, you eat right.
Yeah.
You have a workplace that's physically separated from your home. Those are all decisions, and like that's designing a life to have some balance to it, and like I think that's good. I think that's really good, and I think it's impossible to achieve balance, true balance, or whatever. And that's something that I'm still trying to figure out for sure. I'm also a terrible decision maker. I don't know what I'm trying to do, like trying to be a director.
Gosh. Yeah, the decisions you have to make, they're big. And it's like every 5 seconds. I imagine on set. You don't want to think about it, do you?
I'm really bad. I'm really like, I just vacillate. It's like, oh God, I can hem and haw about everything. So
right. How do you know, like when you're shooting something, like was that a good take?
You got to trust your gut. It's like, did you feel it? Did you believe the performances? But I'm not really like, I have a much more confident about what I'm seeing in the frame and what's working visually than I am about talking about performance. It's definitely a weakness of mine. I think as a director, like working with actors is still scary and it still feels like untrod territory for me. It's it's something that you can only get better at by doing and learning as much as you can. But yeah, like you just kind of have to trust your instinct.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, that didn't work. I guess I feel pretty confident about my ability to know when it's not working, but I don't really know how to get it working in that case a lot of times.
Right. Right.
So that's the thing. It's like, okay, not yet working. We got to do another take, but what do I say to take it from A to B? Yeah. It's a little tricky.
Yeah. I could not do that. I'm just like...
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. Like I say that, but if you push anybody into the limelight, anybody at all, they are going to... they're going to rise to the occasion, basically. And that's all that really
I want to see you direct something.
Yeah, like what?
Yep. A short film, perhaps.
Yeah.
In Blender.
Yeah, but yeah. If I talk, I'll just come up with excuses.
Yeah.
You're right. And it's something I've wanted to do and I just haven't done it. I've put it off and off and off. But yeah, it's kind of like a creative itch that I haven't yet scratched.
It's time to scratch it, man.
I know.
You can't ignore your itches.
I know, but then again, I have so many other things I'm scratching. I got this site, got that one going, got this one, I'm gotten new projects, and what's the future like?
Yeah.
And
that's life, dude. It sucks.
Yeah. Quote, Colin Levy. That's life. It sucks.
There's so many things. I'm someone who wants to focus on one thing, and it's never possible. It's never possible. I mean, like I have to move. I have to move to another apartment, like in the middle of my, my shoot, essentially. And like, I wish I could focus on one thing, but there's life that also needs to be contended with. Like, I'm really glad that for these 3 months, I'm not balancing a job, but like, that's going to be a challenge. And then like the personal life question is like, yeah, do I have time for friends? That's actually like, sometimes it's a problem, like I should go out, and like have a social like evening once in a while because it's just healthy.
Yeah. But you see people when you're working at Pixar, you see people every day.
And it's good. I mean, and I consider them my friends. Yeah. But at the same time, that's my entire social circle is Pixar people. If
you end up like going solo, like quitting a job, going solo, be very wary of the isolation. Because it won't happen like overnight, but you'll notice it like years down the line. And you'll be like, you will feel like upset, like alienated, like just angry for some reason. And
speaking from experience,
because especially in Korea, because I'm working by myself in a little rinky-dinky apartment with one room, and it's me and the computer.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. And I talk with people via email, and I talk on Skype. Rarely. Mostly email. Mm-hmm. And that's it. I exit the building, jump on a bus, go home, and then I just talk to my wife, Chloe. Mm-hmm. And you just...
But you have such a following, so many followers.
I don't know. I think it's as big as you think it is.
Yeah. There's probably only 2 or 3 people left actually listening at this point.
Yeah. If you got to this point, by the way, like leave a comment. Say you got to the milestone. I want to see how many people actually made it.
These are like devoted, the most devoted of your fans.
I know. Like they sat through when you left to get water, and I'm rambling about Comic-Con, and the cat jumped up.
We should definitely wrap this up. I feel like this could just go on for another 2 hours.
It could. It really could. But anyways, I don't know what I'm saying. Point is, to wrap up the point, isolation.
Not good.
And I remember reading like how it's like happiness is very much like weighted towards how much physical interaction you have with like social interaction you have with other people. And like that's why in prisons, isolation chamber, whatever it is one of the most effective ways to break anybody. Like even you could get the most hardened, I don't care about society, I don't care what you think, I don't, whatever. Yeah, and they're just rebellious against everyone. You put them in an isolation chamber for a month or a week, whatever, and you like psychologically, you're like shattered.
I cannot, imagine.
Yeah.
Did you hear the story about those guys who, I think in the Southeast, who were wrongly convicted and spent like 15 years in solitary confinement?
Oh my gosh.
15 years.
Holy crap.
Can you imagine? And on that note...
I like having an interview with Colin because he really brightens the mood.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, no.
And we could start talking about the prison system. Incarceration rate. We could start getting political here.
We could talk about the differences between America and the rest of the world. Gun problems. Legalization.
But this is the Blender Guru podcast.
Where anything goes, apparently. We rarely actually
Did
talk
we cover
about
enough
Blender?
We're using Blender for a film.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
So...
As well as other tools.
Yeah. So as the 3D lead, I'm looking for
Ah, you're going to shoehorn that into this thing.
I'm looking for Blender artists that can be part of the team.
2 or 3 of you who are still listening to this podcast have a portfolio, send it on over. We should
Wait, not yet.
We got to set up an email account.
I have to set up a web form where you can...
I see. If
you send it by Twitter, it will just disappear. Yeah, that's coming. So there'll be a video about that.
It's going to be worth your time. Very cool.
yeah. So, but anyways, that's the talk of Blender.
What are you terrified about the most?
About this film?
Mm-hmm. About fulfilling your role.
Death. No.
Death is pretty scary. Public speaking as well.
Oh yeah, that's above death. No. About this film, what am I terrified about? I guess finding the time.
Yep.
Because I know you guys have deadlines you're meeting, and at the same time I got deadlines for myself for my own business that I'm meeting, and managing.
You're gonna have to have lots of conversations with yourself about your own schedule. What can I afford to do?
Seriously,
it's gonna be a little bit.
I've been thinking about it. That's what I was writing in the car, like on the laptop. I was typing out like tasks, things that will need to get done during the movie. And I wrote out like a list of things, but it's like, I don't know how long any of these things are going to take.
Yeah.
Like I wrote out like drone finalized ... How long? 6 months? 9 months? Who knows? You know.
True. That asset. That's going to be. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of discussion.
I feel like it could be actually easier than the portal because drones exist.
Right.
Yes, unlike a portal, which, as we learned online, there is no reference whatsoever.
This is true.
Yeah. So, anyways,
thanks for having me on this podcast, Andrew Price.
You're always welcome, sir. I hope to have you on again, and I'm sure I'll drag you onto this Skype.
Yeah,
and
you can come stay at my house anytime. Anytime, you are welcome. You gotta come out to the States more often.
I know, I want to.
SIGGRAPH is happening soon.
It's very lovely. All I'm worried about is the gunshots you can hear out here in Oakland.
We started counting them last night, but actually...
It was fireworks, yeah. And we're like, looking around.
Uh-oh.
It's like nothing's hitting the windows. Like, and then it was like 14, 15, 16. Like, this guy's like taking his time. And then we hear this...
Yeah.
And we're like, it's fireworks. Dude's got a little Roman candle. Why would you set that off in Oakland? Oakland, why would you...
have the cops called it, yeah. I mean, it probably isn't legal to begin with, but the assumption is not... The assumption is it's gunshots, rather than the assumption being fireworks. And, that was a gunshot?
So, yeah, that was fun.
I remember I was coming out of BART. This is our public transportation system. I was coming out of the MacArthur station. I did not realize it was a holiday. It was Chinese New Year. And I heard... And I literally dove behind a pillar.
Are you serious?
I was like, holy crap, what's happening? And because it was
mass
intense
shooting.
and it was close. And, that's where my mind went. And I was like, just fireworks. Chinese New Year. Knew that,
Life
everyone.
of an American.
People were like laughing at me.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that'd freak me out, man. Good grief.
Yeah, it was night. It was late. I guess it was midnight, I think.
Yeah.
Chinese New Year was, yeah.
Yeah.
In retrospect, it made a lot of sense.
You looked at the calendar. Yeah. Anyways.
Excellent.
That's the podcast, guys. And for those few that have stuck around, thanks. And,
appreciate it.
Yeah. Guess you'll hear us again for the next or me again for the next podcast.
And never again from me.
He'll be back.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Bye.